Got something to say? Get in on the conversation at 415-915-2291. That's 415-915-CALL-1.
Welcome to Conspiracies Against Wellness with your host, Janelle Elgaway.
Good evening. Welcome to Conspiracies Against Wellness. I'm your host, Janelle Elgaway. If you have questions for our guest tonight, please call in at 415-915-2291. You can also chat with me on live stream on our YouTube channel, Conspiracies Against Wellness live stream. Before we get started, I wanted to let everyone know that November 28th, I will be going to Washington, D.C. with a few advocates for a rally that we are putting together to raise awareness for all the opioid refugees out there. Opioid refugees are the chronic pain patients and doctors who are caught up in the politics of addicts being bunched with patients. Chronic pain patients deserve the right and freedom to be treated with medications and treatments their doctors deem necessary. Instead, the government and medical institutions created a witch hunt, and unless we stand up and fight this together, this will only get worse. We are creating the information for the rally, and it will be out shortly. We are using the hashtag #WeAreOne. Tonight and the entire month of November, we'll be discussing different treatments and medications that are available to treat the disease CRPS-RSD. CRPS stands for Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. Tomorrow night, Thea Barnes, my producer and assistant, will join me to discuss ketamine treatments and how well they have worked for me. Tonight, we have Samantha Litmer on with us to discuss the U.S. drug trials she was a part of for the Neridronate Infusions. Neridronic acid belongs to a family of drugs known as biophosphonates, which have been used to treat a variety of diseases over the last 40 years. Treatment for neridronic acid seems to result in significant reductions in pain associated with CRPS. There were 220 patients in the U.S. trial that lasted 14 months. Samantha, welcome to Con Nation. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. So can you please tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Samantha Litmer. I'm 28 years old. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. Before CRPS, I was a medical coder. I worked full-time. Now I don't, unfortunately. And I've been dealing with CRPS for about a year and like 7 months.
Okay. What happened as to why they diagnosed you with CRPS?
I had a fall, and it resulted in a bruised heel pad. And I went to several doctors because my symptoms just continued to get worse, and nobody was able to tell me what was going on. So I called my uncle, who's a neurologist, and he immediately said RSD, and he got me into a doctor that formally diagnosed me.
So from the time that you had the trauma to your body to the time that you were actually diagnosed, how long was that?
It was about 3 months.
3 months. Do you have any other health issues besides CRPS?
No, depression and anxiety, but that's it. I've had nothing else.
Is that been since that you've been diagnosed with that you have the depression and anxiety?
No, I had it before, but it's definitely worsened since CRPS.
Okay. So has the CRPS moved anywhere else in your body?
It hasn't really officially moved anywhere else. I've gotten symptoms in my right foot on and off, but that seems to have kind of stopped since I had the infusions. So luckily it hasn't really spread.
Was there any, okay, I'm so sorry. So what treatments and medications have you tried in the past?
So I've had nerve blocks. I had 2 nerve blocks. I've done acupuncture, mirror box therapy, physical therapy, and the medications I've tried are Lyrica, Neurontin, tizanidine, Norco, Tramadol, Cymbalta, and something called Terazosin.
Okay. Did any of those seem to work at all, or nothing at all?
The first nerve block worked for about 4 or 5 days. The second one did not at all. Acupuncture helped some. It definitely would lower my pain for a few days, but it wasn't a long-lasting thing, and it was very expensive. Physical therapy definitely helped me to get the function back in my foot. And then Norco and Lyrica were the 2 medications really that have only somewhat helped me. Nothing's ever really, gotten me completely better, obviously, but...
Do you do anything at home? Like, do you watch your diet at all? I mean, have you, tried any, natural products at all?
I did, try and change my diet a bit, probably about 6 months in. But as far as, I haven't really stuck to any, regimen of a diet, which I know I should, but yeah, I haven't.
So you've recently had Neridronate infusions through the U.S. drug trials. How did you first hear about these trials?
I saw a post in a CRPS support group, and I looked it up from there and found a website for the trials, and then you can see what location they have them in. You can try and find a location that's nearest to you. And I found Cleveland, which is about 3.5 to 4 hours away.
Are these what are these infusions supposed to do for you?
They're supposed to lower your pain. It's not a cure, but there's a lot of positive results showing that it's lowered a lot of pain, stopped the halt of progression of the disease, slowed down the spreading, all that.
So can you walk us through exactly what you did to get into the trials? Was it hard? Did you see, what kind of doctor did you have to see? Are they in the trial itself, or are they, do they pick doctors in your area? How did they do this?
So there's just different locations. The location I found was in Cleveland, and they're doctors that conduct clinical trials. So they do all different kinds of clinical trials. And I emailed them, and I got a call back the same day.
Oh, wow.
He asked me a few questions. Yeah, it was quick. And I got an appointment, I think it was within like a week or 2 weeks for a consultation. And then from there, they do blood work, and they talk to you about everything. There's, they have to see if you can qualify. There's certain medications you can't be on. Your vitamin D levels and calcium levels have to be over a certain number. Otherwise, you can't get the infusions. And a lot of people with CRPS have low vitamin D as it is. So from there, they did that, and I had low vitamin D and calcium. So they give you supplements to take to up that. And, it wasn't really hard. The only bad thing that happened really was right before I was supposed to get my first infusion, my labs came back with a low vitamin D. And at that point, if you, within a month, if you didn't get your vitamin D levels and calcium levels normal, then you couldn't get the infusion. So at that point, I wasn't able to get them, and I was out of the trial. But they changed the trial to where you can go longer, and you can have at least 4 blood draws. So then they were able to re-screen me. So then I had to go back and go through the process completely again, and then I was able to get my first infusion. So it did take time.
Mm-hmm. When you say time, like how long was that period?
Let's see, probably like 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
It wasn't that long, but,
Is this for CRPS 1, 2, or both? Do you know?
I believe it is just for type 1.
Okay. So, and type 2 is, if I'm correct, you had nerve damage of some sort usually.
Yeah, so it's documented nerve damage.
Okay.
And type 1 is no documented nerve damage.
Okay. So how long have you been in this trial now? How long has it been?
Probably since they rescreened me, it's probably been about 4 months.
Okay. And I read that there's 220 people in the trial, and they last 14 months total. Is that right?
Yeah.
So tell me, all right, so once you got into the trial, tell me what it's like when you actually go and get the infusions. Did you have to do any prep before that? Did you, how long did they last? How much are they put of the Neridronate? How much do they put into your IV bag? Did you have any, side effects or anything like that? So, so when you walk in, what happens? They give you an IV, right?
Okay, so yeah, so the first day, you can't drink any food or have any food or water after midnight. And then you come in early. I think I was there by like 9. They do blood work first. They do an EKG. They do a urine drug test. And then that usually takes about an hour or so. And then they keep you hooked up to the EKG, and then they give you the IV infusion, and it's 100 milligrams. So each infusion is 100 milligrams for a total of 400. And they infuse you for a period of over 4 hours.
Okay.
So once you finish that, then they have to do an EKG after that and get your weight, and then you can leave. The whole thing probably takes about 6 hours.
What is the time space
But the
between...
infusion,
Go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No, that's
you.
okay.
But the infusion itself takes 4 hours. So
How long is the space between from you get the one infusion to the next one?
So it's 2 to 3 days
Okay.
between each one. So it takes about 2 weeks.
So you've had all of yours.
You do like 2 a week. Yes, I've already had all of mine. I'm like 3.5 months out.
Wow, okay. Do you have any immediate side effects right afterwards? Did you get sick at all or feel like the flu?
So after the first and the third one, I would finish and probably get back to the hotel around 5 or 6, and then around like 10 to 11, I started to get really sick, really bad bone pain. I was just, my whole body hurt. I was in a lot of pain. I felt extremely sick. I didn't leave or eat the hotel room. I didn't do anything for 2 days. It was hard to walk. My mom had to bathe me. The side effects were pretty bad, but after about a day and a half to 2 days, I, returned back to normal. And then after the second infusion, I had no side effects at all.
Wow.
But after the third one, I did, and the fourth, nothing. So it was weird.
We have a comment on YouTube Live. Ryan Mills says, Samantha, you're doing great. Stay strong and keep kicking butt. And keep smiling.
Oh, that's awesome. He's very...
So Neridronate is a class of drugs, I can't see that, of called biophosphonates, and that actually you could get prescriptions for in the United States. I believe there's 5 of them. Did you know about that, or?
Yeah, I knew that there's a bunch of different ones, and I know the neridronic acid, they used to use it to treat osteoporosis, and this particular kind is like a different chemical makeup or something, so it's not exactly the same. Okay. But yeah, I did know that there are other ones, used.
All right, so when you were getting sick after you had your infusions on the first and third ones, did they give you anything to help you kind of get through that, or no?
They give you ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen.
So right when you finish your infusion, they give you, or no, actually before you start your infusion, they give you an ibuprofen.
Are you
before each infusion?
Are you allowed to take your normal medications that your either a pain management doctor prescribes or whoever? Or do they?
Yeah, so you can stay on your medications. You don't have to come off of them, which was really nice for me. For the medications I was on, none of them were medications you couldn't be on.
Have you been able to talk to anybody else that is doing this in the trial that you're in? Have you met anyone? And have they experienced the same things?
Yes, there's a group on Facebook that's people that have had the infusions or that are in the trial or, interested. So, yeah, I've definitely met some people that have had them, and some people have had great results. Some people it's up and down. It takes about 6 months to completely get the full results. So it's hard to, it takes time because your bone metabolism is slow. So this medication takes time to start working.
Mm. How are the doctors that were giving the infusions, or is it like a nurse?
No, it's all doctors. So there's no nurses. It's all doctors that do it, and they were great. They were extremely nice, caring and understanding, and I feel like that's hard to find with doctors when you have CRPS. They were great. I have no complaints about those doctors at all.
Did they seem really knowledgeable about CRPS and,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did. They definitely seemed extremely knowledgeable about it, and that's kind of a relief because I feel like honestly, it's hard to find.
Yeah. We have a question. Is this a double-blind test? Do you know? Or do they have placebos?
Is double-blind where everyone gets it? So phase 3, this phase, everyone gets the drug and everyone gets the full amount. So there isn't like some people that get in, some people don't. So everyone gets the full amount, which is 400 milligrams.
After, so the days that you got really sick and stuff like that, and maybe, is that why they spread it out so you could, you get sick and then you wouldn't feel so horrible? Or do you know exactly how that worked? And was there anything else that happened once you were out of this for side effects?
I think that they spread them out because they don't want to. I don't think they want to pump it all into you so quickly. And also, yeah, I think the side effects, they want to give you a little bit of time to feel better. You don't want to go into the infusions not feeling well. And this is kind of something I figured out because the second infusion, I went in very hydrated, feeling good. I had good sleep. Therefore, I didn't have any side effects afterwards. But the first and the third, I went in tired. I remember I had rough weeks. I'd been in pain. And then I ended up having bad side effects.
Yeah. Were there any side effects other than that, like that you experienced once you were out of the trials itself, or the infusions?
No.
Like weeks later? No. Okay. Did anybody else have
anything?
No,
nothing at all. Anybody that I've talked to, no. Actually, there was one person I believe that did have a allergic reaction to it, and she had hives, and those have been, I guess, sticking around. But that's the only person I've heard of having side effects after they're all done.
Does your insurance cover this, or was this all covered by the trial itself, or did you have to pay for anything?
They actually paid me.
Oh, wow.
So, no, I didn't have to pay anything. Yeah, they paid me. They would pay for a hotel because it was 3.5 hours away. That drive's already hard. So we would go up there and stay in a hotel. They pay for your hotel. They give you money for food. They reimburse you for food. So, yeah, you don't have to pay anything.
Off of YouTube Live, Thea Barnes says, "Thank you so much, Samantha, for sharing your story. We need Neridronate to be approved to treat CRPS. It already is approved for depression," which I didn't know that.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. So what side effects did they say possibly that you can have that maybe you didn't experience? Or was that all of them, just like the flu kind of stuff?
Flu-like symptoms is like the number one side effect, bone and muscular pain, some more like low blood calcium levels. And as the list goes down, as I'm reading, it's going to get like less and less. So a lot of these are rare side effects. It doesn't happen often, but eye inflammation and pain, dizziness and rash and hives, osteonecrosis, which is like your bone dying.
Right.
Unusual fractures in your middle and upper leg and bone, decreased kidney function, and osteonecrosis of your ear canal and your jawbone.
Wow.
But those are so rare, and they only have to list those. I talked to the trial doctors about this because it falls into all biphosphonates can have that side effect. So they have to list it even if, like, it's rarely ever happens.
Right.
So it's not something to be, like, extremely concerned about, if that makes sense.
Teresa Smith from YouTube Live is saying, she's asking, are the trials still going on? Or do you know of any trials that are still open, or if there's new ones coming up?
I know a lot of them closed, but I do believe that some have opened back up. Like if somebody was scheduled to get the infusions, then they couldn't because they have to have 220 people. So I would tell her to look on, I wrote the website down. Hold on just a second. Clinicaltrials.gov, and look and see if she can find, because I know some of them have opened back up.
Okay.
So it's worth looking if she,
Yeah, I put that up too. I just put the website up on YouTube live stream if anybody needs to look at it. So,
Okay.
So since you've been doing this, have you seen any improvement to your health? And if so, what are they?
I have. I've seen, and I just started seeing results about like a month ago. My pain has lowered, my daily pain overall. I don't need my pain medications every day. But it's still up and down. I'm still getting flares, and I believe since my pain overall is lower daily, my flares feel worse, but they're not. I think it's because I'm just getting used to a lower pain level. But I've definitely seen, results. I mean, I went 2 weeks without eating any pain medications.
Wow.
Which is unheard of for me. I mean, usually I have to wake up and take one before I can even get out of bed. So it's definitely, helped me. And like I said, I'm only 3.5 months out. So I still have 2.5 months of, possibly even better results.
The improvements, what did the doctors say the improvements will be? And has anybody else told you that was in the trials with you? How are they all doing too?
The doctors just say lower pain, and that it can take up to 6 months because your bone metabolism is slow. So you have to give it time. I think that that's something that's difficult. At least for me, I wanted results right away, and then a month went by and I had nothing, and 2 months went by, and then finally I started to see some results. But you kind of just have to wait and stick it out and try and stay positive, which is, I know, extremely hard sometimes. But and I've talked to others on the Facebook group, and some people have had great results. And, but like I said, a lot of these people have just been infused. It hasn't even been 6 months yet. So it's still kind of that waiting period of like getting the full results. So it's hard to say. It's not like they were infused a year ago or 6 months ago, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what are you having to do now that you've had your infusions? What do you have to do within the drug trial to finish it up? Or what are they doing following you up?
So I go back about every 2 months now. And I just go in and, they do an EKG and they weigh me. They do blood work. And sometimes they do like a nerve test where they use different things like on my foot, like they'll do a needle prick and they'll test it on both sides, or they'll do a temperature, thing to see how much it affects me. And then you do questionnaires each time, like your pain levels. And I think that also shows if it's lowering, they see from the beginning and see how it's changed. But yeah, so every couple of months I have to go up there and, follow up with them.
Ryan Mills asks, exercising, ? Stretching for soreness, ? I'm not sure what he's
I've done a little bit of exercising. I've done walking, nothing crazy. I walked like 1.5 miles, which is unheard of for me. Usually I can't walk far at all without my foot starting to go into a flare. Mm-hmm. I stretch my foot every day, otherwise it gets stiff. So stretching something that I do every day usually, but I've definitely, been doing more walking, at least trying to, which is a good thing, I think.
Is there anything that the doctors wanted you to do to help in the combination of, the infusion itself and then whatever else? Is there anything that they want?
Yeah, so they want you to keep taking vitamin D and calcium supplements.
Okay. Do you know
that's
why?
A big thing. So
because you said with CRPS usually vitamin D is low and stuff like that. So will it continue to stay low, or does that actually change at some point? Do you know about that?
Well, you have to get it up over, I think it's like 30 to even be able to get the infusions.
Right.
So yeah, it's supposed to, with the supplements, it's supposed to stay up.
Oh, okay. And it has yours?
Yeah, it has. So far, my labs have been normal. My 2 follow-ups that I've had so far.
Do you believe it's worth it to try Neridronate, and would you suggest others to try to get into a trial?
Yeah, I think it is 100% worth it. And doing these trials is the only way that we're going to figure out something that helps CRPS. You know what I mean? So I think that doing these trials is extremely important. And also, like, there's not many treatment options at all for us right now. And I think that this could be a game changer as far as at least getting pain lowered so that you can try and live a somewhat normal life. So I definitely think it's worth it.
Yeah. What's next for you? What's your plans? If this does work and if it doesn't work, what are your plans? What do you expect? Oh, and you know, I don't want to hang on first. Will this continue to get better, did they say? Or does this, like, you know, does it take time? What's going to happen?
So 6 months is supposed to when you're supposed to be able to, like, see the full results, and then it can last up to a year. They said even 2 years. So, you know, I'm already seeing results. So my plan with it is if I need to get infusions once a year, you know, whatever, every 2 years, you know, that's kind of my plan because this has been what's helped me the most.
Are they going to let you? Will they let you back into a trial, or will they continue to, you know, treat you?
Well, yeah, so this is phase 3. So now it's, you know, waiting for the FDA to pass it. But it got a lot of fast tracking. It got orphan drug status, which is supposed to fast track it. And I asked them about it the last time I was there. You know, what if it doesn't get FDA approved and I need these infusions in a year? Like, I start to, you know, my pain starts to get really bad again. And they said that they would help me, you know, figure it out.
So, like, so even if the FDA
really
doesn't approve it, they'll continue to give you you know.
Well, they won't continue to give it to me, but they said they would help me to figure it out. He said that maybe a rheumatologist could give it. You know, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to ask him more about it at my next visit, but it should get FDA approved. I mean, the results they're really good results. It's just a matter of waiting at this point.
Right. What are you going to do after all this? Like, say, you know, what's your next kind of idea or plan of how you are going to look for more treatments or to improve your quality of life with CRPS?
I'm kind of just in that limbo where I'm waiting for that 6-month mark, you know, to see how good of results that I get. And I would like to get back to working, even if it's part-time, just try and get back to feeling like I have a little bit of a life.
Did you ask the doctors that? Like, did they say anything? Did they say people have been able to do that? Did you ask the doctors and did they say anything? Like, if that people have been able to do that in the past?
Yeah, I mean, they said that they've seen really good results with the infusion so far. But there's some people that have had it for so long that the infusions, you know, don't help very much, but they at least stop the progression of the disease, which is good. But, you know, I mean, I haven't asked them if, like, people have gotten back to work or gotten their lives back. I mean, I don't think that my life's ever going to be back to what it was. Obviously, it's always, you know, my life's going to be different now. But I'm hoping just to, I don't know, get back to feeling somewhat normal.
Have they said that anybody that this actually worked for and they went into remission for this?
They haven't said that anyone's gone into remission. And they're still kind of in the period where they're waiting because it takes time, you know, to see the full results. So
right. Are they working with any? So I have to imagine the drug trials. Are they all the same ones? Like, are they the same groups and stuff like that? Because I think it was a German name, Grutenberg or something like that. Go ahead. I don't know.
It's like Grunthal.
Yeah.
Grunthal, I think, is the name. Yeah, all the trials are through that company.
Okay. So is that like, Yeah, like, because I'm sure a drug company is making this, I was wondering if there's other drug companies that you know of that are actually making it too, like that produce the
No, this
ketamine.
is the only one I've heard of.
Okay. Um, I have you heard about the Italian drug trials? But now it's not the Italian drug trials anymore. They're actually, this is what they are stating that they give everybody in, I think it's Italy and the European Union for CRPS now. It's their number one way to treat it. Do you know much about that by chance?
I know a little bit about it. I've done research on it. I believe that they give 400 milligrams. It could be more. I'm not positive. But I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that it's extremely expensive.
Yes.
Like $11,000, I heard. The trial doctors told me that they've had people tell them it's like 11 grand.
Well, we had Jasmine Fuller on a few months ago. She got married, so her last name's Cannon now. And when she, I think she was a month out of her infusion. She went over there, but she didn't use the same. So in 2015, when I found out I had CRPS, I looked into it because I was thinking about going. And at the time, yeah, this one, I think I forget the name of them, but like it was really expensive, and that was just, it was like around $11,000 or $12,000, and that was just to get the stuff. That wasn't to, go over there and whatever I had to do to get over that, and the flights and stuff like that. I know Jasmine, it was much cheaper because they did it all themselves. They did all the homework. They, got their own places, and it wasn't. I don't know why it was such a different price for the treatment itself, but it was like, I don't know, I think it was like 5,000 total, which is way different than 11,000. I think I priced it out. If I got flights for everybody and stuff like for me, myself and somebody else, it would have been close to $20,000, which is ridiculous. They also stated
it's just insane.
Yeah, and I felt like I didn't know enough about it, and when I started finding stuff out about it, I just felt it wasn't worth that. And they were stating it's a cure. A cure to me is, 100% it's not there anymore, and I have no symptoms, and you don't get it back. But then if you read into their stuff, it was like, well, you might have 20% reduction of, pain and inflammation and stuff like that. And then they said, you may need to come back and get more. And I'm just thinking, how could anybody afford that? And I was upset because I felt like they were marketing it to people like us that are desperate sometimes.
Desperate.
Yeah, because we really, really want to just have a normal life again, and we don't want to have to live in pain, that level of pain every day. And, I know people that have taken out second mortgages on their house for this. I mean, that's ridiculous for something that's not, 100% effective. And you might have to go back and get more.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why it needs to be FDA approved. I mean, it needs to be. The average person cannot afford to go over to Italy, let alone the plane ride. I can't even imagine doing that with CRPS, and then paying 11 grand to 20 grand, even 5 grand. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to get approved. I am, fingers crossed, hoping that it gets approved here, because I think that it really can help people. And especially if there's people that get diagnosed soon, within a month or 2 months, and then they get these infusions right away, I think that could really be really good.
What were your expectations going into this, and were you disappointed, happy? How do you feel after then too?
I tried not to have too high of expectations, but after I had the infusions and I wasn't noticing results at all, I kind of got pretty depressed for a couple months. But then I started to see results, which, made it better, gave me some more hope, etc. But I think the waiting period is just extremely hard.
Yeah. Have you ever tried ketamine infusions?
I haven't.
Are you?
And I heard that those can be expensive too, because the insurance usually doesn't cover them.
I've had 5 of them, but I've been covered completely, and I have Medicare and secondary, which is Highmark, and I don't even pay for, like $20 or $40 or whatever it is just to, get for the appointment itself. Like a checkup even. So they've actually helped me a lot. I'm going to be talking more about those tomorrow in depth. So
Yeah, I definitely want to hear about them.
yeah, they've helped a lot. I was able to go into remission this past spring and winter. Well, past winter and spring. So there was a few month period where, and it's been the first time that I was able to go off all my medications for like a few months. I had no symptoms, and because I have other health issues too. My neck issues are really bad. I've never been able to control that pain, and it seemed to help with that too. So that's why I was wondering, have you talked to anybody else that has other health issues, and has it helped with anything else other than their CRPS?
You mean with ketamine infusions?
No, I'm sorry. The Neridronate.
Oh, no, I mean, I haven't really talked to anybody else that has any other health issues that they've said, or that they've said that it helps. So, but I mean, I believe it's supposed to help like osteoporosis and issues with your bones. So I imagine that it could help other, issues too. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, for sure.
Did you ask the doctors eventually, will it be open to type 2 for CRPS patients?
I didn't, but I can when I go in January. I can ask them about that and get back to you.
Yeah, that would be great because, I know a lot of us have that, and it's hard.
Yeah.
I know with the Italian drug trials, it used to be only CRPS 1, but then they opened it to both. So I'm just wondering how it would affect somebody with number 2, with nerve pain and stuff.
I know. I wonder that too, and I don't know why CRPS type 2 is excluded, but I'll definitely ask them all these questions when I go in January.
That would be awesome.
Because they'll know. They'll be able to tell me.
Yeah, and maybe, if we could just have you on for, a short period or something just to, have an update on it and an update on yourself too of how you're feeling and doing and if there's any changes. So these are over with pretty much now. And I did ask you, what's your next plan of attack, or what's your game plan now? So I really want you to think about this though. And if you could tell us, like, what are there, you looking at other options? Have you heard about any other treatments possibly that you want to do?
Ketamine is the only other one that I have been interested in and possibly wanted to do. But I feel like as far as right now, I mean, I heard that there's another trial for a medication. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's low-dose naltrexone.
LDS?
But,
yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah. That's in California. I contacted them about that. I never got a response back. I did that when I was contacting about the neridronic acid. But, my plan of attack really is I do really want to change my diet and get healthier, take better care of my body, and kind of just wait. Once I hit that 6-month mark and I see how much these have helped, I'm going to figure it out from there.
Yeah. Now, did they want you to not do anything else just so they would know exactly how well this works? Like, did you have to sign anything?
Yeah, they want you to.
Okay.
Yeah, they want you to stay on all your medications, keep things the same. I believe like 3 or 4 months out after the infusions, and then you can, or maybe it's only like a month or two, because I started lowering my Norco about a month ago, but for the actual infusions themselves, and I believe a month or two after, you have to keep everything the same so that you get, they get consistent results,
right,
I guess.
Yeah.
You can't change things up, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing that's helped me too is stem cell injections. And I had them above and below my last fusions in my neck, which is C3 and C7. And I didn't know if that would help with CRPS or not, but it seemed to help because I did that. And then right after that, I had my ketamine infusion, well, at least that one. I've had 5 of them now, but that one, and I feel like that, and then when I changed my diet to anti-inflammatories and antioxidants, that combination really, really kind of just catapulted me into remission for a period of time, which was awesome, and I think we all have to do the most that we can, especially what we have available to us. So, working out if possible, if you can possibly, and if you can't, at least moving, because it's so important because our muscles will become atrophied. Have you had any atrophy in your foot at all from this?
Yeah, I have atrophy all the way up to my knee.
And what does that look like? And how does that feel?
I guess just my left leg just kind of feels weaker than my right. I think my right overcompensates a lot. But I have gained some muscle back in my left leg. Like, it used to be extremely atrophied.
So one looks smaller than the
but
other?
Oh, yeah. I mean, noticeably. I mean, I have pictures of it when it was really atrophied, and it was bad. But physical therapy helped me get some of that muscle back, and I had to relearn how to walk. But they definitely helped me. Physical therapy, I think, made a huge difference.
So you weren't walking at all for a period of time?
Yeah, there was a point where I couldn't walk at all. I couldn't bear any weight. I was in a wheelchair.
Wow. How long were you like that?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Okay, because I don't know if people realize, like, they're listening in, like, how bad your CRPS was. So like, how bad was it? I mean,
it was bad, and it happened so quickly. Like, I had the fall, and then a week later, I started noticing this pain in my foot, which prevented me from moving my left foot up. So then it got to the point where I had to limp. So then I was limping on my toes and using my right foot, and then it just progressively got worse to the point where, like, it would turn purple, it would swell up, the color temperature changing, like, it would get really cold, then it would get hot, and then I couldn't bear weight at all, so I was using crutches.
oh, wow.
I was crawling around to the point where I was getting bruises and scabs on my right foot because it was scraping against the carpet, and I had to hold my left leg up. Then my parents got me a wheelchair. It was bad for a while. It took me time to get to the point where I could walk on it again and use it. And I think that that's so important with this disease. Like, you have to keep using that area that it's affected. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. It's going to get stiff, and then it's going to stay in that position, and that's not good.
Some people can't even stand, like, wind blowing on their affected limb or limbs. Is it like that for you, or was it like that for you?
It was. I remember my friend and I went to Walgreens, and we took my wheelchair, and she was just pushing me around through the aisles, and that hurt. The little bit of wind, I guess, that even just hit my foot caused me pain. And when I was going back to get my first nerve block, laying on the whatever that's called, is it a gurney or something they push you in?
Yeah.
That wind that it created caused me pain. Even certain, like, going into a movie theater, and if the sound was too loud, I've had to leave.
Wow.
My dog barking caused me pain.
Yeah, no,
It's weird.
I understand that, because, like, it's not all the time, but, like, sight and sound sometimes are, it's like amplified almost, so, like, the sunlight will even bother me at times, or, if people are, like, running around and it's just too loud, or if there's somebody drops something, it's like, feels like, it makes me, like, cringe almost.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's weird. And, like, my first summer with CRPS last summer, if I would just sit outside, like, I ended up getting a massive, like, rash all over my foot that I don't know if, like, the sun was just more, my left foot was more sensitive to things, and so, like, the sun caused this, like, massive rash all over my foot. It's just weird. It's crazy.
Were you walking before you did these infusions, or were you not walking at that point?
No, I was walking.
How did you start doing that again?
Walking.
Mm-hmm.
What?
How did you start doing that again? Because, did you just kind of push yourself and say, okay, I have to start walking again? Or what was going on with you?
After my second infusion, I got a pain doctor, and he did my second infusion, and it didn't work at all. And at that point in time, I was only on Lyrica. But the first doctor I saw was a, oh gosh, what is it called? Why can't I think of it? The doctor that does, like a
Pain management? Or?
Fourth doctor.
Oh,
No.
an ortho or?
Orthopedic.
Okay.
Orthopedic surgeon.
Uh-huh.
So that's the first doctor I saw. He had me on tramadol, which didn't work. Then he had me on Norco. Then when I left him, I stopped that medication, and then this new pain doctor put me on the Lyrica, and at that point I couldn't walk at all. So after the second infusion, I called and I made an appointment. I came in the wheelchair and I said, "You've got to add like a different medication because this isn't working." Then they added the Norco, and then I went back to physical therapy, and I started doing a lot better. They said that the difference of what I could do was, I mean, crazy. So I believe that when they added the Norco and then the Lyrica, and then I got into physical therapy and was able to move it more and, you know, do steps and walk on the treadmill for a very short period of time, like that all got me back to walking.
Yeah, that's great.
Even if it's like, yeah, I mean, and my walking's not perfect, but I know the last time I went back, the trial doctor said they noticed a difference in how I was walking. And I think I've been walking like this for so long that maybe I don't notice if I'm walking a little different or limping a little. Like, I think it's just so natural to me. So they even told me the last time that I looked like I was walking better.
That's great. Well, yeah, I'd have to imagine you overcompensate because I know I do with certain things, you know, especially like when my hands are hurting or something like that and one side's not as bad as the other, you know, I use it less. But
Oh, definitely.
I think you made a huge important point for anybody that has CRPS. I know moving itself is hard at times, but I think that's just one thing we kind of have to keep doing. Thea Barnes is from Canada, and I know the way that they treat CRPS RSD patients is way different. I mean, instead of like doing injections and stuff like that, they immediately put you on physical therapy or physiotherapy or, you know, occupational therapy, which is awesome. I wish we got covered for that stuff. Like, I wish they had something in plan where you do all that stuff. And, you know, because I think we'd be a lot better off with that. I mean, you would think that they would want us to be healthier overall, not, you know, lifelong patients of medications and stuff like that. But I don't.
No, definitely.
Thea Barnes does ask, did they ask you to keep a diary, and are they still in contact with you?
They are still in contact with me. I email with them, and then I go back in January. They did not ask me to keep a diary. I try and write, you know, things down and try and keep track, but sometimes I don't and I forget. But I do a questionnaire every time I go there that, you know, tracks if my pain's lowered, if my mood's better, you know, if I can move more, etc.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we get going here?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, Samantha, thank you so much for sharing your journey with CRPS RSD and the Neridronate infusions in the drug trial you took part in. I really appreciate you coming on and, you know, and educating us, because it's so important that we learn about all treatments and all possible medications out there, you know, for others to learn, because, you know, through education is how, you know, we can make the best decisions for ourselves personally for our health. So thank you.
Oh, definitely. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is power. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and please, you know, after January, if you just want to, you know, call in and come on for, you know, a few minutes just to give us an update of how you're doing and, you know, anything new, I'd love that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I'll plan on it.
Okay, great. Well, I hope you have a good night, and thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Tomorrow night, I'll be with Thea Barnes discussing ketamine infusions that I've had. I've had 5 of them. I have CRPS RSD, but I also have degenerative disc disease, Raynaud's disease, fibromyalgia, PTSD, ADHD, and I'm sure a few other alphabet letters in there somewhere. But you know, again, I think it's so important that each one of us do our best personally of what we have at our hands and at home, whether that's working out, meditation, the foods that we eat, because foods, I didn't think that was a big deal, but when I changed my, you know, what I ate, it helped. It was a combination. I don't know which one did what, but as a combination of all the things that I'm doing, it's really, really helped me. And, you know, if we want our best health You know, there's no quality of life in our lives when we have diseases and chronic illnesses. So that's so important that we continue to do that. Well, thank you so much for everybody joining in tonight, listening in on our web stream, and then also through YouTube. I really appreciate all your questions and comments. I hope you have a great night, Call Nation, and I'll see you tomorrow at 8/7 Central.
Listening to Conspiracies Against Wellness with Janelle Elgaway. Join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern to get in on the conversation. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and callers and not necessarily those of EXG LLC, its employees or sponsors. I'm David Schick.
Copyright 2017 by EXG LLC. All rights reserved.